I'm so excited because I've got some Gen Zers with me today. I'm also Gen Z. Kaylee Green, y'all have seen her on another episode.
Zers? Is that an actual thing?
We're already ruining this, but that's okay.
It's okay. Just go with the flow.
Let's go with the flow. So Kaylee, she's my sister. She was on another episode earlier in season 1, so go check that out. I'll have it linked somewhere. And then Kaylee Knight.
Yeah.
They're both Kaylee. We don't know how to tell them apart.
Just they actually look the
So
same.
actually, I am a little taller, but you can't really tell right now.
And my nails are done, so that's
Mine aren't.
that's
I got nubs.
yeah.
Yeah. So, and then Kinsley. The Kayleys and Kinsley. Welcome to the podcast. But what we're going to do, go around, just introduce yourself more in depth. So, they're all seniors in high school right now, which is just crazy.
She's actually done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually graduated.
That is wild.
Hey,
She just hasn't walked the stage yet.
You can put your mic closer.
Okay.
We're all new at this. So yeah, go around, just kind of introduce yourselves a little bit more in depth. Maybe if you have like college plans next year, tell us kind of what you're leaning towards. If you don't, that's fine. Tell us like just what your plans are for the future and your career and those kinds of things. Kaylee, you can start.
I'm Kaylee. I plan on probably going to tech next year, so Tennessee Tech, and then I want to major in pre-athletic training. So once I get my bachelor's, I'll probably go and get my master's as well, so I can work at any level as an athletic trainer.
That's exciting.
I'm Kaylee, and I'm done with school, but I don't graduate till May. I don't really have like college plans. I'm just working full time at my job, and then just kind of going with the flow.
Bro, same.
Yep.
Literally same. Okay, Kinsley.
I'm Kinsley. I plan on going to Tennessee Tech. I'm currently in my nursing program at my school, and I plan on going to college for nursing. So.
Ooh, you're both going to tech?
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to room together?
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to room together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be so much
reminds me,
fun.
we actually need to
We need to apply for homes. We've not done that
said
yet.
we're about to be homeless next year.
Oh, God, that's awful. Sorry, guys. So it's a new year.
January 1st.
It is okay. We're filming this on January 1st. I don't know when this is gonna come out, but
Probably
we're
in
filming
6 months.
Right, that's my editing process. We're filming it on January 1st. So, do you guys have any like? I don't know if y'all do like New Year's resolutions, but do you have any like goals or anything for like the new year?
Not to break my elbow again.
Cool. So Kaylee's trying to go accident free.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm trying to go 1 year without breaking a random something.
Yeah.
That has yet to happen.
Okay, don't look at me.
That's so awkward. But you didn't break it in 2024.
Bro, let's
That's
tell
true.
them the story real quick about the elbow.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Kaylee, you got this one.
I thought you were going to say about her finger.
We're not talking about the finger.
Basically, it was on my birthday trip. We went to Kentucky Kingdom for 2 days, and it was the first night that we were there. So we had a whole nother day at the park, and we were staying on an RV, and they had these like bikes, but they were collapsible, so they could fit under the RV for storage. Well, when we took the bike out, it kind of collapsed, so I was riding it, and it flung me off, and then I broke my elbow, but we went to the doctor, and they were like, oh yeah, you like chipped a piece of bone off, and they put me in this cast thing. I slept in it, and that was the worst night of my life. And then the morning when we woke up, I took the cast off, and then I went into the park. Because it was like one of those like splint things, so it wasn't like actually like fiberglass. It was just like a splint.
Okay.
So it was easy to take
Here's
off.
the thing, though. We were all like, I rode one of the bikes too. We were riding the bikes.
I rode one, too.
Yeah, we were all right. Okay. I go in to use the bathroom. Therefore, I'm gone for like 3 minutes. Okay. I go in to use the bathroom. I come out. Girl's on the ground bleeding. Like
I actually do have a scar on my knee from where
it wasn't just her elbow. She like scraped her knee good. Like it was bad.
Like, knee was
her
scraped.
knee was like
my whole
bad.
elbow was scraped. Which also, that urgent care had no idea what they were doing. They were.
Shout out urgent care.
I'm
That's
not
awkward.
dissing you, but I am kind of dissing them. They did not clean out my wounds. They had to like ask me if they wanted me to clean them out. I was like, oh no, I just have asphalt in me. But don't leave it there.
Asphalt. Let it grow.
Like, and then when we walked in, they asked me and Kinsley. They were like, oh my goodness, are you
Twins.
Or no, they're like,
Or-
are you sisters? And we were like, no. And she's like, oh, you must be twins. And she's like being so for real.
We
I
were
was
like,
I don't think
if
that's
we're
how that
not
works.
sisters, how would we be twins?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about
That should have been our first sign, but
We should have walked out then and there.
I was in a lot of pain, so there was no walking.
Wow. Yeah, the next day was pretty interesting. Because
Yeah.
you, like, couldn't get it wet or something. Or you could, but...
No, I got it. We were.
She took it off so she could swim.
Yeah.
But she couldn't walk. She was like hobbling
Yeah,
around
I
the whole
literally-
park.
I had to keep one of my knees straight because it like hurt a lot, and like every time I would bend it, the like cut would like split back open. So it was just, and then I couldn't straighten my arm. So it was rough.
So, Kaylee's goal is to not get hurt this year.
Yeah.
I believe.
Y'all got any goals? Kinsley, Kay, and I?
Mine is to just read my Bible more and more devotions because I didn't really do that much last year.
It's good. It's really good. That's something we should all strive to do, for
Yeah.
real.
Mine is sorry. Mine is to have more patience because I feel like I get very frustrated easily, and I feel like I immediately like start getting an attitude. So mine's to have more patience.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that one
Amen.
right there.
Amen.
Put that on a shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's to eat healthier.
That's good.
No, for real. Last
don't
night
think
I
we're
was
gonna
like
put that
looking
on
up
the
healthy
shirt.
food. I was like, I'm gonna eat healthier in 2024. So I'm gonna drink milk. No.
Is that a
Okay. I'm gonna eat healthier and I'm gonna drink milk as well.
Why would
Because-
you drink milk?
Because I looked it up and it's like great way to start your day. Drink a cup of milk.
Guess
And it
you
like,
can't
it like
start
does
your day.
stuff to you.
My day will be bad every day.
And I don't drink milk.
Because if
a
I
lot.
drink a glass of milk, it's gonna be real
lactose free. I'm sorry,
milk.
Kaylee.
Almond
That
milk.
must. I'm
I
sorry.
drink
soy milk.
PTSD.
I should
When
be a
I couldn't-
sponsor for lactate.
Lactate. Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I've had a really bad cough. Okay. Okay, guys. So, the topic kind of for today is just we're gonna be talking about Gen Z, just in general. So we're all Gen Z. They're all the same age. I'm 2 years older than them.
actually, I'm older.
So you're basically all the same age.
Oh, I thought you were saying about the Danielle. I was like,
Oh, no, actually, Kinsey's older
yeah,
than
I'm
me.
older than Danielle.
Okay. But yeah, that's what it is, and we're just gonna be talking about Gen Z and honestly a lot about other generations too, about like bridging the gap between generations. We're gonna be talking about just like camp experiences and how we can kind of like keep that going, not just in the summer, but like all year long. And so, just kind of an opener, fun question: if y'all could be in any generation besides Gen Z, what generation would you want to be in? And I can read off the generations.
Yeah, read off the
Yeah,
generations.
so I'll
I don't
start-
know
okay.
the generation.
So from like, okay, here they are. So there's 7 generations from like 1900 to now. So here's the generations. The greatest generation is 1901 to 1927. The silent generation, 1928 to 1945. The boomers, which is 46 to 64. Gen X, 65 to 80. Millennial, 81 to 96. And then Gen Alpha, which is like 2013, 2025.
Wait,
or
what's the
2024.
years for the greatest one again?
The greatest, that's like the very first one, so like 1901 to like 1927. Besides Gen Z.
I personally probably millennial
Millennial.
because okay, this is gonna sound really like cringe, but like I've been binge watching Gilmore Girls, and it's like I want to live in that time period. Like I wanted to like live in that time period where it's like nobody was on their phones, nobody really used phones. Everybody talks face to face, and I feel like we rely on our phones a lot for
Yeah.
like everything.
Yeah.
So it's
That's true.
like,
That was like every other generation besides us, though, that didn't have phones.
Basically.
well, yeah, but like
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. As of recent, you've been watching Gilmore Girls.
Go.
Yes, Gilmore Girls.
I also have, I think,
words are hard.
I have a speech thing. I don't know.
Speech impediment.
Speech something, because I'd be messing, I don't know. Kaylee?
My
Moving on.
see, I don't really know like exactly what time period, but like definitely like whenever we didn't have technology.
Okay, so before 2000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd probably do the greatest generation or whatever.
The first one?
Mm-hmm.
I
the one with
1900s.
Meemaw.
The one with Meemaw. Okay, our Meemaw was born in 1919. And just, yeah. I don't know, though. Honestly, first thing that came to mind, Guys, I don't know what's going on. The first thing that came to my mind was Alpha because they got it so freaking easy. Like,
Oh, yeah.
they just have it so easy with like technology, but also like the way that they're, I feel like parented
Yeah,
sometimes.
but like they also don't really have like a childhood because they could just get a tablet shoved in their
That
face.
is
at
true.
age
That's true.
two.
Them
That is
iPad
true.
kids.
iPad.
Dang, the mom
Time
parents go
kid.
crazy.
iPad kids.
I don't know. I remember when we I didn't get anything till we were like 11.
Yeah.
Neither did
We
I.
got like a little Kindle
Kids
Fire.
nowadays, they're getting
Yeah, I
phones
got
at,
one
like,
too.
Yeah, we got a Kindle Fire.
My
that had to be
sister got a phone
connected
at
to
6.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, they're getting
Like-
phones at like 5, 6. I'm like, bro,
Yeah,
didn't get
no.
a
I didn't get a
in
phone
middle
until I was
school.
12. Like,
Yeah, I was in middle school. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I don't know, but I remember we used to go outside. I would struggle with riding my bike. It was just a daily struggle for me.
Daily struggle.
Yeah.
I should have known.
Honestly,
it's still a
I
struggle
think
to this day.
My final answer is Gen X because I want to like grow up in the 90s. Like I want to be like a teenager in the 90s.
See, that's
Yeah,
what I
that
meant.
sounds
like,
fun.
but like
Actually,
millennials were born in the 90s.
I
though.
changed my answer.
Like they were born in like
No, I can't.
We were
No.
born in like 80s.
yeah 80s
I don't
to
know.
90s.
So
So,
which
I guess
one?
it depends on like
Yeah.
when you were born. But I feel like Gen X is like our parents, and so I feel like I would want to like grow up in the grow up in the 80s 90s. I think that'd be fun.
Mhm.
Just like experience that. I don't know.
And they be having little dance
Comment down below
parties.
what generation you would want to be in.
Honestly, I would just want. Actually, I really wouldn't care what like generation I grew up in, as long as I went to a school that actually had homecoming and like dances.
Right.
Because I get senior prom. That's it.
That's special.
I have online prom.
Bro, she's like
Homeschool prom.
she's got like
They put filters on everybody.
Right. That's awesome. So guys, what's it like being Gen Z? Tell me about it.
I feel like
I feel like I should be asking you that question.
We're all Gen Z. We can all answer it.
it's fun. At the same time, it has its disadvantages.
For
It's-
sure.
it's
like
def-
growing up, being a teenager, even in this age, like
Yeah. It's definitely like very controversial because like a lot of people are like now growing up where like you're taught to like speak your mind. And it's like sometimes you really don't need to do that, but at the same time sometimes there's like a time and place for it, but then there's a time and place for it to not be said. And it definitely starts a lot more like arguments, and there's also a thing called cancel culture, and it's like very
yeah, because there's that balance between like advocating for yourself, but also like not trying to get canceled. You know?
Yeah,
So it's
literally.
Like, I don't know what to do. Yeah, and cancel culture's that's a whole other topic. Honestly, we could do a whole podcast on that. For real. But yeah, kind of like the thought that came into my mind was like you said, there's a lot of pros and cons with it. I feel like technology, for example, it's amazing for a lot of things, but also it has just created like such a crazy thing in our society with like comparing ourselves to others and like social media, and I mean just like the hate online, and I mean just it's wild. But it can also be used for a lot of good, like this, you know, like podcasts or like even like live streaming churches and stuff like that. So it's crazy. Kaylee, do you have anything to kind of add to that?
So I do agree that there's like pros and cons, but I feel like now like a lot of people don't know how to take like I don't know, they don't really know how to take criticism. They always play the victim.
Facts.
Yes.
I
It's
agree
like
with that.
I could be
Very
trying
sensitive
to
culture.
yes, and it's like we're not being mean, but if you're like, hey, don't talk bad about people, they're like, I wasn't doing that, this, that, and the other, they were mean to me, this, that.
Right.
They just get like defensive.
You are 17 years old. I
Right.
think you know what gossiping is. And maybe
Uh-huh.
we should do that.
Yeah.
But that's just me personally.
Or I mean, and we're all. I feel
We all
like
gossip.
I was gonna say, we've all
We've
been,
all been
we've
there.
all done
Yes.
these things, but sometimes we use excuses of like I'm not gossiping. I'm just like letting them know, or like
Yeah.
you know,
But
I'm just
it's-
making sure
it's
they
not
know
even,
what,
like,
what they're saying.
Necessarily
and
like
stuff
just gossiping, though. It's just like an example, but it's
Mhm.
like it's the people that play the victim in every situation. Like they could be treating someone so badly, but that person finally decides to stick up for themselves, and then it's
like that. They're
like
like, whoa, are you?
they're like, oh, like what? I never was doing that. Like it's because of this, that, and the other. And it's like, just take accountability, please, and move on.
Right. Okay. Okay, Kaylee, with accountability. We love that. That's awesome. So what is like what is the fundamental truth that you believe the next generation or even like your peers really need to know?
I kind of have two. One is just like knowing that we're not alone, because I feel like that's also like a really big thing. People feel like they can't talk about certain things with some people and they feel like they don't have anyone to talk to. And then another one is that God makes us new. So I feel like a lot of people are like, they get controlled by their past, or they let their past dictate what's going on, and they don't realize that they don't have to live off of that, and they have something new that they can live up to.
Yeah.
And also another thing that like I've noticed is like a lot of people are scared to scared to talk about like God at school and like to their friends because they're scared of like what other people might think. And it's like, if you're worried about that, then you shouldn't be friends with them to begin with, because like you should be able to talk about the things you believe in and be able to spread the word of God without having like the fear that, oh, they don't want to be friends with me anymore. Then they weren't your friends to begin with. So like being able to be truthful with yourself about what you believe. So
I think in the Big C church in general, like we get scared of like, well, if they find out about my past, like they're not gonna like want to be friends with me, or they're gonna like shame me for what I've done. And then, you know, like which I feel like Christians can be guilty of that sometimes. And I think that's kind of like why Christians get a bad rap, is because like some, you know, we've kind of put that stigmatism on ourselves because of, I don't know, not just I'm not saying us, Big C church in general. But yeah, just knowing like you said, God does make you new. And I think that was just a really good way that you put it. That he's a redeemer, and so he redeems you from your past, and there's a brighter day tomorrow.
It's gonna
Shout out brighter day.
Brighter day.
okay.
But one of the answers that I said was identity. I feel like a lot of it comes back to identity, and I think a lot of just like the things going wrong in our society or culture just comes back to identity, like knowing who we are in Christ, knowing that we're who he says that we are. And that also goes back to like comparing yourselves to others, even like people, you know, only looking at you based on your past, that kind of thing. But it's like, no, we were created in his image. And too many times we do rely on the opinions of man. And I've been guilty of it for sure. Like, I'm dressed in a certain way if I'm going out with these people, you know, whatever. But yeah, just knowing like we need to not rely on the opinion of man, but rely on like what his word says about us, and knowing that we're created in his image, guys.
Well, also another thing I just thought of is like a lot of things that like will steer people away from God is like guilt and like feeling like they're already too far gone to be able to like turn back, and so they still like stay in the same habits, and they still like continue because they're like, well, I've already done it, so like why does it hurt to keep doing it? And so they're like, they just don't want to stop because it's like, I mean, I already did it once, what's wrong with doing it again? So a lot of thing is like, a big thing is guilt, and not being able to steer away from that and like forgive yourself and then ask for forgiveness for that. So
And I feel like on top of that too, it's also like I feel like I don't deserve it kind of thing. Like, I've done something so bad, how can someone just simply forgive me and it all just be forgotten? So I feel like that's also
That's good. And where do you guys think like we as a Big C church kind of fall short in conveying those truths to the next generation and to young people?
I feel like, I mean, like, it's talked about. I just like, I mean, I'm not really sure where we fall short. Like, I know, I mean, it can always be talked about more and like be more in depth about like how, I don't really know how to put that, but we can always go more in depth with what we're talking about. So I don't really know.
I feel like nowadays everyone has a habit of only showing like what's good and what's perfect and what they want to be seen as.
Yeah.
And no one shows like the bad sides of things. That goes with like social media and stuff. Like, you're not going to post when you're, like, I don't know, when something bad happens. But you're going to post when you go on this amazing trip. Or, like, when life is going so good. This generation as a whole kind of hides all the bad stuff. And that includes, like, in church. So we don't really want to show when, oh, we could have made a mistake. So we just kind of act like we're picture perfect. Because I know sometimes when we were younger, we'd be we'd be yelling at each other in the van, then we'd get out and be like, good morning.
Oh, yeah. It's like, have y'all seen that meme? It's like the dog or whatever, and okay, I'll pop it on the screen if I can find it.
Okay.
But it's the meme where like, it's like the two dogs, and like one's really clean, one's really like messed up. And it's like your mom in the car on the way to church, and then your mom whenever we get to the church. You know, like that kind of thing. That's just what popped in my mind whenever you said that. I'll have to try to find it. But yes, I agree. I even think of like in church, for example, if they're giving an altar call for like a specific like issue or something, like people are like scared to go down for certain things. They think they're gonna get judged or like something like that. So I don't really necessarily know how we break that off, but I think just like coming from a place of like first of all, we all mess up, we all do things. But yeah, just being more real, because I feel like this generation is kind of changing that in a way of like, we don't want the fake stuff. Like, we just want someone who's genuine. Like, we don't want just a charismatic preacher to like preach a good message. No, we want someone who's genuine and wants to lead people to Jesus, you know? Right. And so I think just getting back to that, and also just returning to first love with the Father, like, not caring about like, I think a lot of this, the topic of this, and I feel like the kind of same characteristics that have been going out the whole thing, is just like not caring. And not saying like don't care what people think at all, because like would I've gotten dressed this morning and, you know, if I didn't care what people think, and like obviously you wake up and you care, but as far as like opinions, like not, you know, letting that dictate the way that you live your life, you know, the opinions of others. Something that I put was, I feel like I very much on the same topic of Kaylee. It comes back to relationship over religion. And I think a lot of times in the church we get so like, we have to look a certain way, we have to act a certain way, we have to dress a certain way, we have to do these things and meet these points. And it's getting very, very, very traditional, which tradition's great. And I think that's what's gotten us where we're today. Tradition's amazing. But if it's not above the mission of Christ, then, or if that is above the mission of Christ, I think that's where we fall short. And so I think sometimes we are putting on a show in church, like Kaylee was saying. And I think if we can just get back to a place of being genuine and just being real and not trying to like come in, and I'm very guilty of it too, like, you know, and I think honestly just working in ministry, being in ministry, it's like I put this extra just like expectation on myself of like, no matter how bad my life is, or not life, but like no matter how bad my day's going, like I have to come in and put a smile on my face, because I'm expected to like pray for people, and I'm expected to like do these things. But it's like, no, it's okay for me to not be okay sometimes, you know, the same as it is for anyone else. To also know that I can't be everyone's, you know, savior. I can't be, you know, trying to rescue everybody else. Like I need help too sometimes. So yeah, I think just coming back to a genuine place together as a church.
Kind of like to piggyback off of what you said, but like I feel like there's this big expectation of like Gen Z now to be like, to not make mistakes. It's like I feel like it's expected to like make up for what's been done in the past. Like you're not supposed to do it because we did it. So like I feel like when we do fall short and we do mess up, then it's like this big ordeal, because like there's that expectation, like you're not supposed to do that because you're supposed to learn from our mistakes. So it's like it's hard to be able to like be real with yourself and like admit that you made those mistakes, and like when they do altar calls, then like go down because you're ashamed, because you don't want to be judged for what you did. And it's like you want everybody to think you're as perfect as they expect you to be, but it's like that's just not the reality. It's just not.
Yeah. Well, and I think we're also, for anyone who does say that, like we're growing up in a very different age than like any other generation, and we're experiencing things and facing things today that like no one else has had to go through. Same thing for Alpha. Like they are the first generation to be completely immersed in technology. Like at least we didn't really have iPhones when we were first born, you know, like that kind of thing. But yeah, we are growing up in a very different age. Now, obviously older generations had their own like struggles and things that we never will, you know, we don't have to face. But yeah, and I think that kind of leads into the next question. So that was a great way to kind of lead in. I do think that older generations love us, support us, believe in us, but I don't know if they fully understand us. Yeah. So, like, what do you think older generations need to know in order to, like, ease their fears about the future?
I was kind of talking about this the other day. So I feel like we now handle situations a lot differently than, like, the older generations did. And, like, say, like, something happened to me, I might feel a certain way about it, but they wouldn't. Like something might be a big deal to me, but like to them it's like, oh, that's not a big deal. So like they don't understand like why things are more upsetting now. And it's like I just feel like they don't understand how we like are taught to feel about things, and how we are like taught what's okay and what's not okay, because they might have been taught something completely different. So
I don't know, I kind of feel like they sympathize like for certain things differently. So then like it's kind of hard for, I'm not saying it's like hard for us to talk to older people like whatsoever. It's just like certain like other older people, I don't know, it's kind of like they're confused on why our generation's so like depressed and like so like just, I'm not saying like everyone's just so unhappy, but like it's getting more and more
No,
people are just
statistically
like,
though, you're right. Like we have the most depressed generation.
yeah. And I
So-
just feel like we just don't know how to like communicate our emotions with like the older generation, just because they don't fully understand how we feel about that.
Yeah. And going off of that, like about just statistically us being like having the most struggle with like mental health and those kinds of things, like we have everything at the tip of our fingers, right? Technology, everything, but we're also so alone. We're like the most alone generation at the same time, because all of us are so immersed in technology that we're not like communicating and spending time with like real people. You know what I'm saying? And like obviously COVID, that's a thing.
Yeah.
You know, that happened like when we were in high school, when we were like growing. And so it's like, then you add that on top of it, like a full year, like year and a half to, I mean, we're still kind of getting out of it too, of like literally being just like isolated, you know? So then and then that obviously like spiked all the statistics up. And so when I think of that, it's crazy because we literally have like everything, like all the information, every entertainment thing we could ever want, but we were also so alone at the same time. And like, I know going through COVID, and like my senior year, junior year, like literally my senior year in specific, I literally felt so alone, and it was crazy because and that was out of COVID. Like we were pretty much out of COVID, at that point. But like I felt so alone, but I had so many people around me, like my church around me, my family, my friends that loved me, like nothing crazy happened, but I just was like so alone, and like I had the symptoms of depression and like, you know, anxiety and all these things, and I was like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? And so technology, it's a great thing, but it also like it can do some harm. So I think, yeah, with just older generations like coming to an understanding of like we're all experiencing things differently. Kind of bridging over into, we'll talk about some camp stuff here in a minute, but there is
I'll go first on that.
Okay, I believe there's a movement taking place among this generation though, like truly, and that's why I wanted to kind of bridge into camp. I saw it at kids camp with Gen Alpha. It's just literally, it's crazy, and I wish everyone could go to Camp Jackson and just experience like just having one night in that room, you know. But yeah, let's just share just some camp experiences, like some things that kind of come to your mind, and then we'll kind of bridge off into that.
I can't remember exactly what night it was, but I think it was the second or third night we were there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because it was a full week this time, so I don't.
Anyways, but
One night we were there.
the like services, I remember the first year I went, I was a freshman, I think. And honestly, I was just going for the games, if I'm being completely honest with you. I was like, I loved the worship and it was fun, but then when it came to like a sermon or like the slow songs, I was just like kind of going through the motions because I just wanted to get back out to go play more games. But like this year, I generally went in with like a good mindset. I was like, I'm actually gonna get something out of this camp. Like I'm not gonna go through the motions. Yeah, the games are good, and we did actually do good this year. Go us.
Third place, let's
But
go.
I actually tried to get something out of it.
You changed your perspective going in,
Yeah.
and it reflected what you got out of it.
And I think it was the second night, but like we just worshiped the whole time.
That was the last night.
It was the
It was
last
the-
night.
it was the last
Thursday
night, okay.
That one was really
And
And we
that
just,
was
like-
crazy because everyone in the room, like the oldest to the youngest, they were like, I've never experienced a service like that in my
Yeah.
life. And that's even like Brooks, that's like Pastor Bryce, like all these people were like, out of all the services I've ever been to, have never experienced something like that in my
Even
life.
after it was over, we kept going.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you
And
know
it
what
was
an
just, like-
honor that was for us to be in the room when that happened?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and you can see videos, but like you don't even know
can't-
unless
you
there
don't.
and
Yeah, it's like
experienced it.
you had to be
You
there
had to be there.
situation.
But it's just like the whole week, even the services when worship started, it would be like in an hour or two, and I would think it would be like 30 minutes. Like
Yeah.
time just like flew.
Yes, and that's
by.
when you know, man.
And
That's when you know.
especially that last service, I think we were like,
It was 3 hours
It
because
was, like,
remember we
3
did our
hours.
Apple Watch and we like
yeah,
did the
because
workout thing.
we
There
started
was
that. We were
no
getting
sermon
some-
the last night.
we were getting the badges.
There was right, bro. You
Dang,
want to get exercise? Go to Camp Jackson.
Well, if you're about to be jumping for an hour straight, I
Right.
better be getting them exercise rings.
Right. No, there was no sermon the last night. We literally just worshipped for
Yeah,
like
I
3 or
know.
4 hours. It was crazy.
It was really good.
And like, this is not necessarily just Camp Jackson. This is just youth camp in general. That's what we're talking about here. But I went so I started going as a freshman, had to leave early, and that's when it was only 3 days or like 3 nights or something. I interned my senior year of high school as a TYM intern. It was literally the best summer of my life, changed my life forever. And man, I literally like journaled every single night. I have journals on journals that I could go through. But going back this past summer, as a leader, and it was a full week, so it was extra. Just every single night, something amazing and different happened. And I have my own testimony from like every single thing. But the thing I love most is just like when you're sitting in the room and and there's a song I'm thinking of that kind of wraps it up. It's the song, I think it's a Maverick City song. It's like minutes turning into hours. It doesn't even matter, something like that.
Oh, the
Because
one where it's like,
yes. Does it even matter? All I want is you. That's the song that comes to my mind. Because literally you're sitting in the room, and we're going to branch off into this too, something I want to talk about. But like, when you're sitting in a room, and not just at camp, but like any room, and you're just like focusing on the Lord, like minutes will truly turn into hours, like you were talking about. And like I've been in prayer services where we're literally, when I was an intern, we like prayed before each camp came. There was one night where we were praying for like literally till 3 a.m. And so it was like 6 hours or something, 5 or 6 hours, and literally it felt like an hour.
Yeah.
And so I think about that, and I'm just like, minutes turning into hours, but it did not even matter. But it really didn't matter because like we were so in tune with God, and I think that's how revival starts. Like that's how revival starts, when we are so in tune and focused on the Lord that like nothing else matters but Him. And so that's just kind of what I experienced this past summer too. You know, every single night something crazy happening, something amazing. I mean, I got a lot of just like confirmation about things, and forgiveness was like one of the topics, and that was something I definitely was like dealing with this past year, which is like forgiving people. And so that it was a special summer for sure.
Yeah.
We'll get into it more, but do y'all have any just specific experience you want to talk about?
Oh my goodness, I'm still getting over this.
Bro, same, I get it.
So for me, like, definitely when it was that last night, and Pastor Sam pulled me up to Brooks, and Brooks started like praying over me, and he was just like talking about stuff that I had not told anybody, and like stuff that like my close friends would know, but like there was no way he could have known that unless like somebody went up and told him like what I'd been through. And it was just like so crazy to me, because like it was just an eye-opener, because we all have those like questions like, okay, but is he really listening? Like, is like, you know? And so it was just like an eye-opener. Like, he really hears and like really sees what I'm going through, like, and I'm not alone when I feel alone. So it's like when he was praying over that, I was like, it just like really made me think about like in depth about the situation. I don't know.
Mine, well, I started going to camp freshman year too also, and then mine was kind of similar to Kaylee. Like, I would go for the games, and then when it comes down to service, I'd just be like, just kind of sitting there going through the motions. But then like as the years like went on, I'd like, whenever service starts and I'm like really sitting there listening and writing in my journal, like God speaks to you during those messages, and He speaks to you during worship. And last year I was like, I didn't really talk to that many people about it, but I was just like, I wasn't going through a good time, not like anything necessarily bad happening, I just like wasn't that happy. And then like people started praying over me, and I fell out, and I was like in the spirit, but I literally could not stop laughing and smiling, and I was
I remember that. I know this is funny, but when Kaylee, every time when she like goes out in the spirit, when I tell you, she just sits there laughing, and it's honestly like, if you've never seen that before, it's terrifying.
Kaylee, you should tell them about what happened to me though, and you were like freaking out.
the way it got silent.
When Brooks prayed over me,
I know
it
what
was
you're
Wednesday,
talking about.
and I fell out, and literally you told me after service, because I could not stop laughing, and I've never laughed, because I've never laughed in the spirit like that.
Laughing too.
Never laughed in the spirit like that, and it is literally just the, oh my gosh, like, let's talk about this. It is literally the most freeing, just like amazing feeling ever.
No, like you feel like
my
light
gosh,
as a feather.
Like I cannot even explain to you. Like I was just laying on the ground, like just. I'm like having a moment right now. Literally just like laughing for like 20 minutes. I'm not even kidding you.
Right.
And for people who've never experienced that, obviously you're like, what are these people talking about?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just special. And
Yeah.
Kaylee told me after service, she was like, you fell out and you were just laughing, and I was like,
because
seriously.
no, I was
standing next to her,
and
and she
then
was
later
freaking
that
out.
service, Kaylee fell out and started laughing.
And you're like, everyone's laughing.
Yeah, I was a little scared. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, because
Everyone's laughing.
Sam was just like pulling like our youth group up to Brooks, and Brooks was just like knocking us out.
Oh,
Just,
yeah.
One by one,
literally,
like dominoes.
I don't know, like he knew like everything about everyone's lives somehow.
Right.
And literally was just
it's
like
the Lord. He just has that
He was
gift.
just like would
He has
tell
that
you
gift.
your deepest struggles and be like, bah,
Boom.
and then he'd be gone, and then he'd go to the
Right.
next person. And he was like piling us
I love
up.
how you're like, he just tells you your deepest struggles.
No, but
true.
he does.
But then he also like prophesies over your life and like gives
Yes.
you a word.
That's
And
really
like
good too.
the word he gave to me, like I said, was just like confirmation. I won't get into like details and stuff, but like it was just spot on and like has truly like it's come to it's happened. So I'm like, that's just wild.
Yeah.
But I remember, I think this was the second night, but I don't know. I couldn't tell
Every
you.
time it's always the same.
It's just like a big blur. But Sam pulled me up to Brooks. Brooks, again, with the deepest, darkest, my struggles, knocks me
Pastor
out.
Brooks,
And I'm
for
like
watching.
on to the middle school boys. I don't remember who I fell
Dude,
on.
because it's just
But
like
I think I
piled
like
bodies on
I like
bodies.
No,
landed
literally.
on, I think it was Cole. I think I landed on like Cole Capshaw. And I was like crushing the poor
Cole.
guy, but I couldn't move. I literally was just like, I like couldn't move.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I just feel another body on me. Danielle had been knocked out on me. And I'm just like laying there like,
No, that was Monday. I think it was like the first. I don't remember what night.
I think it was like the second night. I
Brooks
think you're
prayed
right.
over you, and then I was like leaned over, like praying for you too, and then Gunnar comes up and he just like bam.
I remember that.
because I
Gunnar
was
comes up
home.
and he's like bam, and then just like gives me a word, and then I'm already like halfway down though, so I just kind of like knelt down and then like.
But I fell on Cole's legs.
Yeah.
I think it was Cole. Honestly,
Yeah.
not 100% sure.
At
But
this
I was on
point-
someone's legs.
Everyone ran together.
And then I was like,
so.
I felt pressure. I was like, I looked up. I could like open one eye. I was like, Danielle.
right.
But like I still couldn't move. And
Right.
then I had to wait for her to get up. And then I
Love
was like,
that. And there's lots of we're Pentecostal guys, so things like this they just happen.
this is the gospel.
So going out of
Friday.
camp, everyone's always like, let's keep the fire burning. Like let's not keep it here. Let's bring it back to Murfreesboro. Let's bring it back to wherever. But then it dies.
Yeah.
And it's just
I don't know. That
got
first
back-
Sunday was.
Okay.
When
It was-
I tell you, like
that's
the
what-
whole
and that's
youth
what I wanna
group
talk
was
about.
in the altars, like
And
the
some
whole
of the interns
service.
came.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like it was,
was
a little bit
powerful.
after that too.
No,
Not
for
just
sure.
the first
and we
week,
kept
but
it going for a while, and
Yeah.
not to say like the flame's gone or whatever, but I
it's
dim.
dim.
No, guys.
No, but I'm saying like, how can we like keep the fire burning and not just like in the church, but like in our everyday lives?
Definitely like not returning to those old habits that you literally like ask for forgiveness for, like because you come back home and then it's all just back there again, and it's hard to keep like what you had your last week. It's hard to continue that when it's not the normal, you know. So definitely like not returning to those bad habits and not returning to those like normal things.
I feel like a hard one is definitely like whenever you realize that you need a change and stuff like that, and you realize that a change also needs to happen in your friend group. And it's like, I've been friends with these people for so long, how am I just gonna sit there and be like, hey, like I can't really like be friends with you? Like, no, you don't have to be rude about it. Like, you can obviously still be there for them, but at the same time you have to realize when you need distance from certain people. So
That's good.
But I feel like when we come back from camp and I know reality hits, and it's just like, I'm not at camp. I'm not running on 2 hours of sleep for the past week. I'm not in God's presence in the morning, in the night. I'm not eating that. Honestly, Camp Jackson be having some good food.
no,
I'm not gonna
literally,
lie.
it's
Right.
Them
Right.
cinnamon
good.
rolls.
Yes, I gotta go and like make my own food. I can't just walk in
No,
and grab
right.
it. That's kind of a little annoying.
Honestly, Camp Jackson's luxury compared to like some other
Yes.
places.
Yeah.
But like, I think it's just different when you have responsibilities. When you're at camp, the only responsibility you really have is pursuing God. But when you come back and you have to go to work, you have to go to school, you have to deal with
You get
this
caught up in that
people, you
everyday life
have
stuff, yeah.
sports, you have to go to church, which sometimes church just becomes a routine. And I know like it's like, oh, Sunday I gotta go to church,
Yes.
Wednesday I gotta go to church, and then I have a break Thursday, then I got work Friday, Saturday. It's like I mark out my week, and it gets repetitive, and I just feel like we need to keep it like new, because camp is always, something's always happening.
Yeah.
And you don't really get an option but to participate. Like,
Yeah, but and going off of what you said, like, sorry, excuse me. We go to camp expecting something to happen though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we go to camp and we're like, okay, like, everyone's gonna be in the altars jumping around, worshiping, not caring. Like, bro, Kaylee's hungry.
You heard a grumble. Ignore it.
No, but we go to camp expecting that.
Yeah.
So I just think of like, what if we went into our church on a Sunday morning and expected that same thing? You know what I'm saying? Or like we show up, you know, we wake up in the morning or we're having dinner with our family at night, and why don't we expect that same thing to happen? You know, like the same God that moves at camp is the same God that's in this room with us right now. You know, and so I think it's also just like Kaylee said, going into camp, she like changed her perspective and she got a lot more out of it. I think if we started like changing our perspective on the way we viewed like church or everyday life or just like even our home, like I cannot even tell you how many times God has met me in my bedroom. Like I've had the craziest encounters with the Lord at like 2 a.m. in my bedroom, you know, and it's because I woke up and I was just like, Lord, like I want to pursue you, you know, like so it's like changing your perspective, I think helps a lot, and that's kind of just piggybacking off of what Kaylee said too.
I never thought of it that way. Like, if I'm being honest with you, like, I know I said earlier, I was like, I used to go through the motions at camp, but, like, I didn't realize I'd do that, even though I literally just said it, but, like, you know, I didn't put, like, 2 and 2 together.
Right.
But, like, I, like, would memorize, I'd be like, okay, service starts at 10.
Right.
We'll get done at, like, 11,
Yeah.
11:30.
And then
I get to
go
And
eat.
then I can go get lunch.
Yeah.
But, like,
And then there's nap time.
yes, and then there's nap time.
Yeah,
And
well,
I
and then you get caught up in all these things.
Yeah.
Also,
But, like,
yeah,
you made a good point when you're like, if we come in with a different perspective, man, I'm gonna try that Sunday.
She said, "Man,
no,
I'm gonna."
for real, because and another thing is like
Wednesday.
you watch what other people do too. So like when you come into church and no one's in the altars worshiping, like are you gonna get up there and dance and jump around?
Yeah.
I guess I am this Sunday.
We finna do it this
but
Sunday.
literally, yeah, because like, and that's something I try to do. So like on Sunday mornings when I can like actually stand in the congregation when I'm not like serving or something, like I try my best to just get up there and worship and like do what I would do at camp. And it changed my perspective. And you know, I think I watched a podcast or something or heard something kind of on the similar topic of like just
She
showing
loves
up.
Pursuing Purpose season 1.
Of just showing up and pursuing him despite like what others are doing, you know. So yeah, it changed my perspective a lot and it helped me a lot. And then other people started to pick up on that too, and like now other people will like get in the altars and worship and pursue him the same way.
I remember that one Sunday where I don't remember what song we were doing or what. I can't remember if it was right after camp. I think it was. And like all of us were up and we were just like jumping around.
It was.
And
What was
the
song
sweetest little old man runs from the
Oh,
back.
yes,
and
I know
starts
exactly
doing it
what
with
you're
us.
talking
I was like,
about.
oh man.
That was
Yeah.
the
Like,
that
I
was
brought
a
that
song is
that
'cause
I
I
started
know.
crying.
Yes.
That was a
And then,
really
like,
good
oh,
Sunday.
He's done that a few times.
I was like a bunch
And
more
that-
people followed him.
older generations though, like it's like a few of the older guys in the church like will come up and just like dance in the altars.
Yeah.
Because they see us doing it. And now like they'll do it sometimes without us doing it. Like I'm not
Yeah.
saying it's just because of us, but like I think that's just the sweetest and most beautiful thing to see, young and old dancing in the altars before the Lord. Like that is just like, I'm like, this is heaven. Like this is what heaven's gonna look like. Like it's not gonna be like millennial, Gen X, Gen Z, you know, like all. No, like we're all gonna be just like literally worshiping God for eternity, and that just blows my mind. You know, and same thing with like denominations. Like Pastor Bryce says it all the time. It's not gonna be Assemblies of God, Baptist, Methodist. No, like we're all gonna be like worshiping Him together. There's not gonna be segregated things or anything.
That was like proof because like I used to think like okay maybe they do things differently because I've grown up in assemblies my whole life, so it's like I never really like I've been to Baptist maybe like a couple of times, but it's like but then when we had that time period where Calvary came and like it was just all the same, like
And
we
it
all
was
worshiped together,
right, like and it was,
was
just,
like
oh my God, it's just
and
beautiful.
then
Yeah.
when you did the merge, like it was just like all these churches combined, and it was
right,
like
and that was
everybody. It
that was
didn't
the
matter
whole point.
what
Yep.
you like. It was just everybody together.
Yep, that was the
So-
whole point of it too. Like our goal with that, and it was like a few of us from here and a few of like the teens from there. We got together. We were like, we want to come together and worship, not caring about like truly the song like make room, break down the walls of our religion and shake up the ground of tradition. I might have those flipped, but you know what I'm talking about. You know,
I think,
and like
yeah, shake up the ground.
and I think like that's almost like the song of our generation. Like I feel like we
Human
are
video
truly.
I swear, I always play a demon in a human
Oh my
video.
gosh.
That sucks.
Is that an
Is that a
ad?
sign? I don't know. Sorry. That was messed up.
Okay,
So I
right.
truly feel like that is like the song of our generation. Like we are breaking up, like we're shaking. I don't remember the exact words.
We're
It's
breaking,
either
shaking.
shaking tradition or breaking tradition or shaking religion.
Shake up the ground.
Shake
my
up the
tradition.
ground of all my tradition. Break down the walls of all my religion. Okay.
Love
You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yes.
Like, that's what we're doing. And that's like our goal. And I think and like we did with merge, we merged like.
Still waiting for another merge night.
Well,
Yeah, same here.
It was
Merge
supposed to be
night
youth
pending.
led. It's okay. Well, maybe.
We're about to lead it.
Ooh, you can only work.
Jesus.
No,
I
I would
bass
not
player
be
if you did
I
lead
would love to
worship.
do another. I would love to do another merge for sure.
For all of
Um,
you that did not know,
yeah.
I am a bass player now.
Oh, she does. She's playing bass, guys.
I play the drums.
Kaylee's playing bass in our large worship team for fine arts. So catch her at districts in March and nationals in August.
I'm being so for real.
Oh,
I'm gonna be
dang.
like this. I'm gonna be like, dum, dum, dum.
Okay. Anyways,
Anyway.
continuing to keep the fire burning. Like I have such a desire and a heart for that. To see that like in our youth group, to see that in this church, to see that like in our homes, like, and not just like my church, but like the Big C church. And when I think of revival, like the crazy thing is like revival usually starts with young people, like Brownsville, like Asbury, like it started with a young generation. And so, and that's not to say, look at us, like we're going to start revival. But I think just like, if we can lead the way, you know, like I feel like we could lead the way in that. Yeah. And I just think it's beautiful to see like generations coming together for one purpose, you know, and that's to lift his name. And so that kind of gets me into like more of our last question. How can we just bridge the gap between generations?
Definitely like seeing things from their perspective and like putting yourself in their positions and understanding them before you like jump to like they should understand you first, because it definitely goes both ways. It's not like you're not understanding me, but like I'm not going to try and understand you. Like that's just not, it has to go both ways and you both have to put in effort. So I feel like definitely like also being inclusive, like don't just stick to the like your group and like your younger generation, like definitely like branch out and like speak to like new people and like older generations.
Yeah. And I feel like yes, we like obviously we all have like our differences between the generations, but I feel like if we go and reach out to the older generations for guidance and like how to go about things, like yes, like the stuff that we go through is differently, but they could still have like a different kind of wisdom about like how to handle a certain situation. So
I think just like coming to understanding that we all have something to offer and we all have something that somebody else needs, you know? And so like you said, like for me on Sundays, like I am always talking to like older people, younger people, like, and I love the older people. Like it's so cool to have like a cool relationship with them. And it's beautiful, honestly, because I can say I would not be. Now I grew up in this church, but most of us did. Pretty much grew up in this church. But this is like literally the only church I've ever known. Like I started going here like when my parents started going here when I was 6 months old, and Kaylee was like born into this. And like I can say for myself at least, I would not be here today if it was not for an older generation, for my parents, my grandparents, people in this church like praying for me, like prophesying over me. And it's important, and we get so much wisdom and guidance from older generations who, I mean, maybe don't experience the same things like physically, like as far as like technology and stuff, but like spiritually, you know, like they've experienced things spiritually, and it's like spiritual warfare and how we can combat different things. And so I think it's very important to, just like we're all in it together too. Like we all have the same goal, and it's to worship the Lord, and it's to, for all of eternity to seek Him. And so we're kind of wrapping up here, but I just want to say I'm so proud of you guys. Thanks. No, for real. Like I do want to say that, and I know we're like truly like sisters. Like I truly, bro. Kaylee's like, okay, Kaylee, she's like yawning.
It's my nap time.
I consider you guys
I'm gonna
sisters.
wait.
She is my biological sister, but I also consider you guys sisters as well. I just want to say I'm proud of you. I've seen you guys grow a lot, and I know you've seen me grow a lot, and we've helped each other through a lot of things and been together for a long time. So I'm just excited to see where the Lord takes you in this next adventure, because graduating high school, going out into the world, whether it's college or whether it's, a job, whatever, it's a big step, and it's exciting, but it's also scary. And so, but I know the Lord's going to be with you, and you guys are going to do great things. I love you guys so much. I love you guys so much. This season of Pursuing Purpose, I'm so excited about. It's going to be awesome. We're back, better than ever. Guys.
Thanks for having us, Danielle.
Yes,
Yes,
of course.
thank you.
What
Yes.
was that? Bye, guys.
Kaylee was the one that was like, I didn't read the questions last time and I'll be fine, so I'm sure you'll be
I'll just
fine.
wing it.
And then she didn't say anything.
Danielle's actually a really good host, and she sends out the questions like days prior. I just didn't bother to read them.
Right.